Most people believe that wealth begins with money. A better job, a bigger opportunity, a lucky break, an investment, a business. But if that were true, everyone with opportunity would become wealthy. Everyone with knowledge would become successful. Everyone who worked hard would achieve financial freedom. Yet that isn't what happens. Look around. You'll find people with extraordinary talent living ordinary lives. You'll find people with average intelligence building extraordinary fortunes. You'll find individuals who started with nothing creating empires, while others who inherited everything eventually lose it all. So the question is no longer, who has the most opportunity? The real question becomes, what is the invisible difference, Bob? Proctor spent more than 60 years searching for the answer. Napoleon Hill dedicated decades interviewing the most successful people of his generation. Earl Nightingale built an entire philosophy around a single observation. Jim Rohn repeated it throughout his career, and despite using different words, they all pointed toward the same truth. The greatest difference between ordinary people and wealthy people is not money. It is identity, because money never creates the person. The person creates the money. And until that sentence becomes more than something you understand intellectually, your financial future will continue to follow your current self-image. That is why some people earn millions, lose everything, and then quietly build it all back again. They didn't lose the ability because the wealth was never sitting in the bank account. It was living inside their thinking, inside their decisions, inside their habits, inside their paradigm. Most people chase money. Wealthy people build themselves. That distinction changes everything, because when you chase money, you become emotionally dependent on external circumstances, the economy, your employer, the market, other people's decisions. But when you build yourself, you become the source. You develop the thinking capable of producing value repeatedly, and value always attracts wealth. That is why rich thinking is never about greed. It is about growth. Expansion, creation, responsibility, the ability to solve problems that other people avoid. Most people spend their lives asking, how can I make more money? Wealthy thinkers ask a different question. Who must I become to create more value? One question focuses on getting. The other focuses on becoming, and becoming has always been the real secret, because every external result is preceded by an internal transformation. Every fortune, every great company, every meaningful achievement. It all begins invisibly, inside the mind. Inside a belief, inside a vision that other people cannot yet see. That is why Bob Proctor repeatedly emphasized paradigms, because paradigms silently determine what feels possible. If your paradigm tells you wealth belongs to other people, you'll unconsciously reject opportunities. If your paradigm tells you money is difficult, you'll constantly create struggle. If your paradigm tells you success requires luck, you'll spend your life waiting. But if your paradigm changes, everything changes. Not because the world changed, because your perception changed, and perception directs behavior. Behavior creates results. Results reinforce identity. Identity shapes destiny. That cycle never stops. Whether you realize it or not, every day you are becoming someone. The only question is who most people become a product of their environment, their family, their fears, their past, their circumstances. They allow life to write their identity for them. Wealthy people reverse the process. They intentionally create their identity first. Then they build a life that matches it. That is why vision matters so much. Before Henry Ford built an automobile company, he first built certainty. Before Thomas Edison illuminated the world, he first illuminated his own thinking. Before Andrew Carnegie created industrial history, he first accepted a self-image larger than his current reality. The pattern repeats throughout history. Great fortunes are always created twice, first mentally, then physically. That is why your current bank account is not the most important indicator of your future. Your dominant thoughts are, because thoughts repeated emotionally become beliefs. Beliefs repeated consistently become actions. Actions repeated daily become habits. Habits repeated long enough become identity, and identity always produces matching results. That is why ordinary thinking creates ordinary outcomes. Not because ordinary people lack intelligence, but because they unknowingly repeat ordinary mental patterns every single day. The same fears, the same excuses, the same emotional reactions, until limitation begins feeling normal. And once limitation feels normal, ambition quietly disappears. Not because people stop wanting more, because they stop believing more belongs to them. That is the greatest tragedy of all. Not poverty, a diminished self-image. Because poverty can be temporary, a limiting identity can last a lifetime. That is why changing your financial future begins with changing your internal standard. Not your income, your identity. Because your income rarely exceeds your self-image for very long. If your identity remains small, success feels uncomfortable, growth feels dangerous, abundance feels unfamiliar, and your subconscious will quietly pull you back toward what feels emotionally normal. That is why self-sabotage exists, not because people enjoy failure, because the subconscious prefers familiarity over possibility, and until you deliberately recondition that subconscious programming, you will continue recreating yesterday tomorrow. The wealthy understand something most people never learn. Money follows value, value follows growth, growth follows thinking, and thinking can be trained. Because if thinking can be trained, then your future is never fixed. That realization alone should change the way you see your life. You are not trapped by your past. You are not imprisoned by your current bank account. You are not defined by where you were born. You are not limited by the mistakes you've made. You are only limited by the identity you continue accepting as true. That identity is nothing more than a collection of repeated ideas, repeated long enough until they became your reality. But every reality can be rewritten the moment you become conscious of it. This is why wealthy people invest so heavily in their minds. Not because they know everything, because they know they never will. The greatest investors in history understood that the highest return on investment has never come from the stock market. It has always come from personal development. Jim Rohn famously said that income rarely exceeds personal development. Think about how profound that really is. The marketplace rewards value, and value is always an extension of who you have become. If two people are given the exact same opportunity, why does one create extraordinary wealth while the other struggles? Because opportunities do not produce identical results. People do. The opportunity is simply the stage. The individual provides the performance. One mind sees obstacles, another sees possibilities, one sees risk, another sees potential, one waits for certainty, the other moves despite uncertainty. That difference appears invisible until enough time passes. Then it becomes obvious. One life expands, the other remains exactly where it started. Success has never been mysterious, it is simply misunderstood. Most people spend years trying to improve their circumstances. Very few spend years improving themselves. Yet circumstances always reflect character. You cannot permanently outperform your mindset. You cannot sustainably build wealth while thinking like someone committed to survival. Because survival thinking asks, how do I avoid losing? Abundance thinking asks, how do I create more? One mindset protects that. The other produces, and history has always rewarded producers. Look at every civilization that transformed the world. Innovation did not emerge from fear, it emerged from imagination. Every breakthrough began with someone refusing to accept current reality as permanent. The Wright brothers looked at the sky and imagined flight. Steve Jobs looked at technology and imagined simplicity. Elon Musk looked at space and imagined possibility. Whether people agreed with them was irrelevant. Their internal vision existed before external proof. That is the pattern. Vision first, evidence later. The ordinary mind demands proof before belief. The wealthy mind believes strongly enough to create proof. This is why Bob Proctor often spoke about faith, not blind faith. Creative faith. The ability to emotionally accept something before it physically exists. That principle has built businesses, careers, movements, fortunes, relationships, entire civilizations, because every creation appears twice, first in consciousness, then in reality. Everything around you was once an invisible thought, the building you're sitting inside, the phone in your hand, the chair beneath you, the city around you. Someone imagined it before they created it. So why do people believe wealth should be different? Why do they expect abundance to appear before they believe they deserve it? That is backwards. The internal acceptance always precedes the external manifestation. This is why visualization is so misunderstood. People think visualization is pretending. It isn't. Visualization is rehearsing the future. Elite athletes understand this instinctively. Olympic champions mentally complete races thousands of times before stepping onto the track. Professional musicians hear performances internally before touching an instrument. Elite surgeons mentally rehearse procedures before entering the operating room. The subconscious cannot clearly distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and one repeatedly lived. That is why repeated mental images become powerful emotional instructions, and emotions program behavior. If your mind constantly rehearses failure, failure begins feeling familiar. If your mind repeatedly rehearses abundance, opportunity begins feeling familiar. Eventually, you start noticing possibilities that always existed but remained invisible to your previous identity. Nothing outside changed, you changed, and because you changed, reality appeared different. This is the hidden power of awareness. You do not create opportunities from nothing. You become capable of recognizing them. Ordinary people often say, "I was never given a chance." Yet chances pass by everyone every single day. The difference is recognition. Recognition depends on perspective. Perspective depends on paradigm. Everything returns to the same invisible source, the mind. That is why wealthy people protect their thinking with extraordinary discipline. They guard what enters their imagination. They are selective about conversations, selective about environments, selective about influences, because they understand a truth that most people ignore. Every environment is programming you. Every conversation is shaping belief. Every book is altering perception. Every relationship is reinforcing either possibility or limitation. You cannot repeatedly consume fear and expect courage to dominate your thinking. You cannot constantly surround yourself with scarcity and expect abundance to become natural. Your environment is either expanding your identity or shrinking it. There is rarely a neutral effect. Marcus Aurelius understood this centuries ago when he reminded himself that the quality of life depends upon the quality of thought. Bob Proctor echoed the same principle in modern language. The battlefield has always been internal, long before it becomes external. That is why building wealth is not merely a financial journey. It is an emotional one, a psychological one, a spiritual one, because every level of abundance requires a corresponding level of personal expansion. Money simply amplifies who you already are. If you are fearful, more money often magnifies fear. If you are generous, wealth expands generosity. If you are disciplined, prosperity multiplies discipline. Money is rarely the cause. It is the amplifier. Which raises a powerful question. If everything in your life suddenly multiplied tomorrow, would it multiply peace or anxiety? Would it multiply confidence or insecurity? Would it multiply purpose or confusion? Because wealth never fixes identity. It reveals it, because identity is the invisible ceiling that determines how high your life can rise. Raise the ceiling, and everything beneath it has room to grow. Leave the ceiling unchanged, and every breakthrough eventually crashes against it. This is why so many people experience temporary success instead of lasting prosperity. They change their behavior without changing their identity. They attend seminars, read books, watch motivational videos, feel inspired for a few days. Then, life returns to normal. Not because the information failed, because information alone has never transformed anyone. Transformation happens when information becomes repetition. Repetition becomes belief. Belief becomes identity. Identity becomes behavior. Most people are addicted to learning. Very few are committed to becoming. There is an enormous difference. Knowledge fills the mind, application reshapes the person. You can memorize every principle of success ever written. You can quote Napoleon Hill, recite Bob Proctor, study Earl Nightingale, listen to Jim Rohn every morning, and still remain exactly where you are. Because information has no power without embodiment. Wisdom is knowledge expressed through consistent action. That is why wealthy people are often misunderstood. People see the outcome. They rarely appreciate the daily discipline behind it. They admire the mansion, but ignore the decades of personal development. They admire the company, but overlook the years of uncertainty. They admire financial freedom, but never see the invisible habits that produced it. Every extraordinary result has ordinary routines hidden beneath it. Wake up with intention, think with clarity, protect your attention, solve meaningful problems, continue learning, continue adapting, continue improving, day after day, month after month, year after year. Success is rarely dramatic while it is being built. It becomes dramatic only when people notice it. To everyone else, it appears sudden. To the person living it, it was simply another Tuesday, another early morning, another difficult decision, another promise kept. This is where patience becomes a competitive advantage. Modern culture worships speed. Everything is faster. Information, communication, entertainment, delivery. People have become conditioned to expect immediate rewards, and because of that, they abandon dreams that require time. Yet nature has never hurried. The tallest trees begin as invisible seeds. The strongest rivers begin as tiny streams. The brightest stars require unimaginable pressure before they shine. Everything meaningful follows seasons. Growth, challenge, adaptation, expansion. The human spirit is no different. You cannot rush becoming. Every lesson has a purpose. Every obstacle has an assignment. Every setback contains information. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? The wealthy ask, what is this trying to teach me? One question creates victims. The other creates leaders. Leadership begins long before anyone follows you. Leadership begins the moment you become responsible for your own thinking. Responsibility is one of the greatest dividing lines between ordinary and extraordinary lives. Average thinking blames circumstances, governments, employers, parents, luck, the economy. Successful thinking accepts ownership, not because life is always fair, it isn't. Not because every obstacle is deserved, it isn't. But because responsibility gives you something blame never can. Power. The moment you accept responsibility, you reclaim influence. You stop waiting. You stop hoping someone else will rescue you. You stop believing your future belongs to external conditions. You become the architect. And architects don't complain about blueprints. They redesign them. This mindset has echoed through history. When Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating a practical light bulb, he wasn't collecting failures, he was collecting feedback. When Colonel Sanders faced rejection while trying to franchise his recipe, he wasn't measuring disappointment, he was measuring persistence. When Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television, she could have accepted someone else's opinion as her identity. Instead, she created her own definition. History consistently rewards those who refuse to let temporary circumstances become permanent conclusions. The same opportunity exists today, not because the world has become easier, but because principles never change. Technology changes, markets change, industries evolve, but the laws governing growth remain constant. Thought precedes action. Action creates results. Results reinforce belief. Belief shapes destiny. The formula has survived every generation because it reflects something deeper than economics. It reflects human nature. That is why building wealth without building character is one of the most dangerous goals a person can pursue. Character determines how success is handled. Without integrity, money creates arrogance. Without humility, achievement creates ego. Without gratitude, abundance never feels enough. No amount of money can satisfy a mind programmed for scarcity. Because scarcity is never merely financial. Scarcity is emotional. It is the belief that there is never enough time, never enough opportunity, never enough recognition, never enough success. That belief quietly poisons every victory. The wealthy mindset understands something radically different. Life is abundant, ideas are abundant, opportunities are abundant, value is abundant. The more value you create, the more life expands to meet you. This is not wishful thinking. It is the foundation of every thriving economy. Someone solves a problem. Society rewards the solution. The greater the contribution, the greater the reward, which means your financial future is directly connected to the magnitude of the problems you are willing to solve. Not the number of hours you work, not the title on your business card, not the prestige others assign to you, but the value your thinking creates. That realization changes everything, because now your focus shifts away from chasing wealth toward becoming invaluable. And people who become invaluable rarely spend their lives chasing money. Money begins chasing them, because money has always been attracted to value. But value has always been attracted to purpose. This is where the journey becomes deeply personal, because purpose cannot be borrowed, it cannot be copied from another person's life. It cannot be purchased, it must be discovered. And discovery requires silence. One of the greatest tragedies of modern life is that people spend so much time consuming the opinions of others, they never hear the voice inside themselves. From the moment we are children, we are taught what success should look like. Go to school, find security, work for decades, hope everything works out. Few people are encouraged to ask a far more important question. What was I created to contribute? That question changes everything, because purpose transforms work into mission. Mission transforms effort into meaning. Meaning transforms persistence into something almost unstoppable. When your work is connected to purpose, you stop counting the hours, you start counting the impact. You stop asking, how much can I earn? And begin asking, how many lives can I improve? Ironically, that shift often creates the very wealth people were chasing in the first place. Because the marketplace rewards significance. The entrepreneur who changes an industry, the teacher who transforms minds, the artist who moves hearts, the inventor who solves impossible problems, the leader who inspires courage. They all understand one timeless principle. The greatest fortunes are built by making other people's lives better. This is why Bob Proctor consistently emphasized service. Not because service is charity, because service is value expressed in action, and value is the currency of every prosperous society. The wealthiest people rarely wake up asking how to take more. They wake up asking how to create more, how to improve, how to innovate, how to solve, how to serve. The money becomes a consequence, never the purpose. This is the mindset that separates creators from consumers. Consumers wait for opportunities. Creators manufacture them. Consumers react to trends. Creators establish them. Consumers ask for permission. Creators accept responsibility. The difference is subtle in the beginning, extraordinary after enough years. Because every day you make one of two investments. You invest in immediate comfort or future capability. Every book you read, every skill you master, every meaningful conversation, every disciplined morning, every difficult decision, every calculated risk, each one deposits something into the invisible account called your future. Unlike money, no one can steal those deposits. Markets cannot erase them. Economic recessions cannot remove them. Technology cannot replace them, because they have become part of you. This is why wealthy people often recover from devastating losses faster than everyone else. They did not simply accumulate assets. They accumulated abilities, and abilities are infinitely more valuable than possessions. A person can lose a business, but retain the wisdom required to build another, lose a fortune, yet still possess the mindset capable of creating the next one. Lose recognition, yet still carry the confidence earned through years of disciplined growth. Everything external remains vulnerable. Everything internal becomes portable. That is real security. Most people search for security in circumstances. The extraordinary build security within themselves. There is a profound difference. Circumstances change constantly. Character compounds continuously. One depends on luck, the other depends on choice. Every single day you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. Not with words, with actions. Every excuse is a vote. Every disciplined decision is a vote. Every courageous conversation is a vote. Every hour wasted. Every hour invested. Every promise broken. Every promise kept. They are all shaping your future identity. James Allen wrote more than a century ago that a person is literally what they think. Bob Proctor expanded that understanding by teaching that your dominant thoughts become impressed upon the subconscious mind, and the subconscious faithfully expresses them through your behavior. Whether you consciously choose your thoughts or unconsciously inherit them, the subconscious remains obedient. It simply executes the program. That realization should awaken something inside you, because if your subconscious has been programmed, it can also be reprogrammed. No matter your age, no matter your past, no matter how many times you've failed, the mind remains remarkably adaptable. Neuroscience now confirms what great thinkers intuitively understood long before laboratories existed. Repeated thought strengthens neural pathways. Repeated behavior reinforces identity. Repeated emotion deepens belief. Your brain is constantly reorganizing itself around what you consistently practice. That means every empowering thought is building new architecture. Every courageous action is laying another foundation. Every disciplined habit is constructing a stronger version of you. You are never standing still. You are either becoming more aligned with the future you desire or more attached to the past you keep repeating. There is no neutral ground. Life is movement. Growth, expansion. That is why complacency is so dangerous. Success is never something you finally reach and permanently keep. It must be continually earned through continued growth. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn, you begin declining. History is filled with brilliant people whose greatest failure was believing they had already arrived. Humility protects greatness. Curiosity sustains it. The wealthiest minds remain students forever. They ask better questions. They seek wiser mentors. They challenge their own assumptions. They understand that every new level demands a new version of themselves, and that may be the greatest secret of all. The people you admire are not extraordinary because they were born different. They became different, one decision, one belief, one disciplined day at a time. Everything you hope to achieve begins the exact same way. Not with a miracle, not with perfect timing, not with unlimited resources, but with the decision to become someone your current circumstances cannot contain. Until this moment, you may have believed that wealthy people possess something you did not. A better beginning, a stronger education, more influential connections, better timing, greater luck. But now you know the truth. Every one of those things may influence a journey. None of them determine its destination. History has never belonged to the people who started with the most. It has belonged to the people who refused to stop becoming, because the greatest asset any human being can ever own is not hidden inside a bank account. It is hidden inside the way they think. Every empire, every innovation, every movement that transformed the world was first carried inside the imagination of one individual who refused to accept limitation as permanent. That individual was not special because of talent. They became extraordinary because they learned to think differently. And once thinking changes, everything else eventually follows. This is why the greatest investment you will ever make is not in real estate, not in stocks, not in cryptocurrency, not even in your business. The greatest investment is the daily construction of your own mind, because every improvement you make internally creates opportunities externally. People often ask, what is the fastest path to wealth? Perhaps that is the wrong question. A better question is, how do I become the kind of person wealth naturally follows? Because chasing wealth is exhausting. Becoming valuable is transformational. The first approach creates anxiety. The second creates abundance. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain. One person stares endlessly at the summit, dreaming, wishing, hoping. Another person quietly takes one deliberate step, then another, then another. years later. One tells stories about what could have been. The other enjoys the view from the top. The mountain never chose favorites. It simply rewarded movement. Life works the same way. Dreams are important, but dreams without movement slowly become regrets. Vision without action becomes fantasy. Knowledge without application becomes entertainment. Potential without discipline becomes frustration. The world is filled with brilliant people whose greatest ideas never escaped their imagination. Not because they lacked intelligence, because they lacked execution. Execution is where ordinary people separate themselves from extraordinary people. Not in one dramatic decision, but in thousands of invisible ones. The decision to read one more chapter, to wake up 1 hour earlier, to continue after rejection, to remain calm during uncertainty, to tell the truth when lying would be easier, to keep learning when everyone else believes they already know enough. Those moments rarely make headlines, yet they quietly determine destinies. One disciplined day seems insignificant. One courageous conversation appears ordinary. One new habit feels almost invisible. But time has a remarkable ability. It magnifies consistency. Just as water slowly shapes stone, repeated actions slowly shape identity. Eventually, the impossible becomes inevitable. People begin asking, "How did you become so successful?" They see the harvest. They never witness the planting. They celebrate the victory. They never experience the preparation. They admire the confidence. They never saw the years of self-doubt overcome through disciplined action. This is why comparison is so dangerous. You are comparing someone else's visible chapter to your invisible work. Never do that. Your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Become slightly wiser, slightly stronger, slightly more disciplined, slightly more courageous. Repeat that process long enough, and the gap between who you were and who you become will astonish even you. There will still be setbacks. There will still be disappointments. There will still be moments when progress feels painfully slow. Do not mistake slow progress for failure. The bamboo tree spends years growing an invisible root system before it suddenly rises toward the sky. To the outside world, nothing appears to be happening. Beneath the surface, everything is happening. Your life often unfolds exactly the same way. The books you read, the habits you build, the discipline you practice, the mindset you cultivate, the people you surround yourself with, the standards you refuse to lower. All of it is building roots strong enough to support the future you cannot yet see. Trust the invisible work. Trust the quiet mornings. Trust the uncomfortable growth. Trust the decisions no one applauds. Because those unseen moments are preparing a life that visible success alone could never sustain. Never allow temporary discomfort to convince you that transformation is not occurring. The seed never questions the darkness beneath the soil. It simply continues growing. So should you, because the greatest tragedy is not dying without money. The greatest tragedy is dying with your gifts still trapped inside you, leaving behind dreams that were never pursued, ideas that were never shared, lives that were never changed, because fear was allowed to become stronger than purpose. Do not let that become your story. You were not created merely to survive. You were created to expand, to contribute, to create, to lead, to leave every place, every person, and every opportunity better than you found it. That is the true meaning of wealth. Not simply possessing more, but becoming more. More disciplined, more generous, more resilient, more intentional, more valuable, because the richest people are not those who have accumulated the most. They are the ones who have developed themselves to the highest degree. Money simply became the reflection of that internal growth. So beginning today, stop asking whether success is possible for you. Instead, ask yourself a far more powerful question. Who must I become so that success has no choice but to find me? Answer that question, commit to that person, protect that vision, honor that purpose, and then every single day, think bigger, learn constantly, serve generously, act courageously, persist, relentlessly, grow intentionally. Because one day you will look back and realize something extraordinary. The secret was never hidden in the economy. It was never hidden in luck. It was never hidden in other people. It was waiting, inside you, waiting for the moment you decided to stop living as the person you had been and finally become the person you were always capable of becoming. If this message changed the way you think, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who is ready to transform their life. And now, another video is waiting for you on your screen. Watch it, because this isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a completely new way of thinking.